to this one. Okay, Growth Fridays at noon. Welcome. Today is on real estate profiles. If you haven't met me yet, you probably got an email or we found each other online. My name is Brenda Kasuva. I specialize on the real estate education side to where I start your career. Make sure you pass your exam and continue on with continuing education. So what I have going on as professional development is what I'm calling Growth Fridays, where you will be able to join for about an hour. We go through a specific topic, and the takeaway is you actually do something. So that's what we're going to do. If you're not connected yet, search me online with my first name, last name. Sometimes you might misspell my last name. That's okay. Just go to training with Brenda and we'll be able to connect that way. Some of you were able to get complimentary tickets that allowed you to be able to attend thanks to Marvin Reese. I hope that's you because that's what I found online. I don't want the regular picture that you have. That's you, I think.
Brenda, you went out and found my found my fishing accolades. That's neat.
I was like, you know what, let me change it a little bit. So thanks to our two sponsors, Marvin is going to start off a little bit, just share what his expertise is in title, what's happening right now. So he'll talk, and then Shawn Jensen is going to come at the very end. So take it away.
Excellent. Thank you for the warm introduction, Brenda. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope your Friday's off to a great start. My name is Marvin Reese. I'm a business development manager for C.L.A Title and Escrow. Today, I felt it fitting. You're talking about profiles. I don't know that it's a official designation. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But if any of you all do business in Baltimore County, Baltimore City, then knowing a little bit about leasehold properties, or in other words, ground rent, I feel is a designation that we need to create just because it's so unique and interesting. With that said, just to get an idea, and I know everybody's on mute, so I'm putting you on the spot here, trying to make it interactive. How many of you all do work in the Baltimore market or area, or that's an area that you're looking to target?
I think it's majority.
Okay. I saw a show of hands. I saw a couple of hands raised up, some thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. So if you've worked in the Baltimore market at some point, you've come across a property that has ground rent. Just want to tell you a little bit about that today and some of the challenges that arise if, for instance, you are on the listing agent side and you haven't identified that the property is leasehold, some of the challenges that could arise for you by not knowing that, and then tell you about how you can easily check to determine if the property is fee simple or if it's leasehold. So we're going to start out by talking about if you have a contract on a property and you're showing it as fee simple, but it's actually leasehold, then when we get into it from a title perspective, we pull back that copy of that deed and we see that the deed is leasehold property, then essentially we're going to have to reach out and we need the agents to work together with the buyer and the seller to make a decision. If the contract is showing it as fee simple, really and truly, the buyer's agent can hold you to converting that property over to fee simple to transfer title as fee simple. And that means there's some steps to have to go along with that, as well as some cost that goes along with converting a property to fee simple. So that's your risk of not doing your due diligence up front to determine if a property is fee simple or leasehold. It could result in your client losing out on some additional proceeds because they're then going to have to use that to pay for getting the property converted to fee simple. All right, let's talk quickly about the easiest way to identify if a property is leasehold or if it's fee simple. Quite simply, the easiest way, if it's available, is through SDAT, State Department of Taxation. So make a quick note of that. SDAT. If you Google SDAT, it's a site you can go on. It's pretty user friendly. You can go in, search by a particular county, search by property address, owner's name, etc. But when you go in and search the SDAT site, if that ground rent has been registered with the State Department of Taxation, then that's the easiest way to determine it. It will identify the deed, whereas you can go right into the deed and see in the deed that it's showing as an assignment deed or it's showing as leasehold property, which, by the way, is another easy indicator for properties leasehold. You have a lot of different types of deeds. You have a warranty deed, you have quick claim deeds, you have special deeds, deeds in lieu of foreclosure, et cetera, et cetera. But if the property is leasehold, typically it's going to be a deed of assignment, meaning it's assigning that ground rent interest as well as the property. Okay. So two things. One, SDAT, that site will allow you to easily identify for properties, leasehold or fee simple. And it also identifies the deed, the most current deed of record for that property, which you can go in and take a look at. Maybe you just want to skip right to looking at the deed. On top of the SDAT site, you can also use Maryland Land Records. That's a site, and both of these are easy to set yourself up on. You can go in there and create an account for marylandlandrecords.net. In some jurisdictions, you can only search by address, some by name, etc. But you can also go and search Maryland Land Records to identify the most current deed for that property to determine if the property is fee simple or leasehold. Then also, your title company, your trusted title company. I don't know how all title companies operate, but for C.L.A Title and with myself particularly, as the business development manager, my goal is to partner with my agents to make sure they have whatever they need from the title side. So in many cases, my agents reach out to me directly. I'll go out there and look up that information for them and make sure I'm pointing them down the right path. Their concierge, for lack of better phrasing, they can use me to determine that information for them. But it's very important to know prior to writing up and executing a contract if that property's fee simple or leasehold, again, because there's some back end consequences that can happen as a result of that. Any questions to this point?
So roughly, are you able to share the I guess worst case scenario that you've seen where either the listing agent was liable? Like, how much have you seen?
I've seen, I'm going to give you a perfect example. In 2020, I probably had at least 3 cases where we had over contract showing it as fee simple. And once we pulled the title work, it's actually leasehold. And in each of those cases, the buyer's agent was, well, let me take that back. 2 of the 3 cases, the buyer's agent kind of held the seller's feet to the fire that they had to convert it to fee simple. And so converting it to fee simple, let's talk about that real quick. That can be a very easy process, or it can be a long, cumbersome process. If the ground rent holder is known, for instance, they registered through SDAT, or the seller has contact information for the ground rent holder, it is an easy process to convert the property from leasehold to fee simple. It's really as simple as, for one, you take the annual amount of the leasehold. So say it's $90 annual. Divide that by 6%, gives you $1,500. That's the cost to convert. On top of, depending on who the ground rent holder is, sometimes they allow the title company to facilitate the preparation of the deed. Sometimes they want to do it. In a lot of cases, when they're doing it in-house, they also tack on a few additional fees. So you could be anywhere from $1,500 up to, $2,500, $3,000 to have that property converted from fee simple to leasehold. Again, depending on the situation, and that's if the ground rent holder is known. So that's a big chunk of change that would come out of your seller's proceeds having to pay for that conversion. Okay. If the ground rent holder is not known, and that was the one case where it didn't get converted last year, Brenda, if the ground rent holder is not known, then it's a long, drawn out, cumbersome process to get it converted from fee simple to leasehold. And it's similar to a probate process. It's a process through the state and can take 3 to 6 months for that process to happen. Okay. So very important that you identify up front if it's fee simple or leasehold to, avoid these back end problems that you could have if you don't list it correctly.
Thank you. So the message here is for both buyer agent and listing agents. Check those 2 resources that were put on the chat, the SDAT and the Maryland Land of Records. Any other questions from anyone? So You have
Or
his,
has anybody had any particular situations with leasehold property that I could provide any guidance on or anything while you have me?
This is Sheila. I recently had a situation. It was taken care of, but the contract said, the listing card said fee simple. So I was the buyer's agent. We wrote it as fee simple, and no one advised me as the buyer's agent that it was a ground rent. When the listing agent found out from the seller afterwards, before settlement, he referred all the information to the title company. The title company was aware, but they never notified me. The day of settlement, when we went to settlement, they wouldn't allow the agent in the room with the buyer because of COVID. Some of them won't do that. So I found out because I sat there I sat outside when the buyer came out, was finished, and I'm looking. And even though they were listening, a lot of times the buyers don't understand what's going on. And I looked and I said, wait a minute, there's a rent. So I called back to the title company, and even the person who I was dealing with admitted she did not come, because I said I was not giving information. You don't have anything in writing that I was giving information. The bottom line, we did wind up satisfying it, and my client got it as fee simple by all parties putting into it, except for the buyer. So I was okay with that, but it left a bad taste in my mouth.
right.
Yeah, it certainly can. And I mean, it could leave a bad taste in your buyer's mouth as well, because that's a additional obligation. And plus, by not owning the land, I mean, they still have full rights to do everything, but when they go to sell, that can impact the value that they get to sell it at as well.
Right. And I always do, well, the other companies I work with, title companies, I do is what you had suggested. They will pull it. I have it pulled before we go to write the contract, and I have that information. This one, I think because it was so short of notice and everything, even though I pulled, I went to the records, but I didn't see it as that either. But normally I have the title company to pull it. So I will make sure that I continue to do that.
Absolutely. Definitely a best practice. Nikki had asked a question. Are there other? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just had a situation myself as well, but you can finish your statement and I can share with you.
Certainly. I was just going to say, Nikki had asked the questions, are there other areas besides Baltimore County and Baltimore City that have ground rent? It's rare, but there are other counties in the state of Maryland that I have also heard of having ground rent. Baltimore City, Baltimore County is the pioneer of it, as far as it being very common, but it has been identified in other areas as well. Very minimal cases, but there are other areas.
Yeah, so Nikki, I did put it in the chat, Cecil County, Anne Arundel, and Howard.
Yes,
so,
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll have Ebony, and if you don't mind, we shall have Marvin's contact information as well to share for you to follow up. And I know I'm being rude because you came here for real estate profile, so I don't want this to take too much time. Go ahead, Ebony.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Anything worth learning about a topic is worth being here. But I had a situation where actually, and it was an investor. He purchased a very cheap property. You know how the city has those properties that are, $15,000-$20,000 or something like that. And it had ground rent, which we were informed of through the listing, and it was something was paid or did something at settlement. But however, the ground rent, the check went to the wrong address or the wrong person. So by the time the investor renovated the house to resell it, which was like a year later now, they were telling him that he hadn't been paying his ground rent. So basically it was a process we had to go through because whomever he had been mailing the checks to they actually had the wrong address and the wrong ground rent holder on his form. So is there a way that you can confirm or double check hey, I have been informed that this is ground rent, but making sure that and exactly that person that's listed as the ground rent holder is indeed that ground rent holder, because he
Again,
had
the
to
best
go
way
through
to
an
confirm
attorney.
is through SDAT. It'll actually give you the name and information of the ground rent holder if it's registered. If it's not registered, that's where the problems come in, because then even as the title company, we're relying upon the seller to provide us with accurate information to pass along.
See, and then in this case, it was registered, but it had an incorrect address on the registration. So he was actually paying ground rent, but it was going to some unknown PO box that was not the correct address of the ground rent holder.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
he had to backtrack and get an attorney involved, because that, he had thought he was caught up on his ground rent until he went to sell the property, and there was a lien on the title because of unpaid ground rent, but he had thought he had been paying his ground rent.
and I
And
tell
he
you
was
that
mailing like certified checks. So he mailed like 3 certified checks, and they had to like track the money down, and it was a mess. It got resolved, but the whole issue was that the registration did not have the correct mailing address to the ground rent holder.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be an anomaly. I've never heard of that particular situation before. So I do feel like that's an anomaly. In that case, I think the steps that he took were really the only steps that could have happened there, because if he was sending it to what it was registered as. And then the other piece of it is too, that typically the homeowner is going to receive a ground rent payment bill in the mail twice a year. So it's interesting that he never received anything, and then also if the other company was receiving and cashing his checks and they weren't the ground rent holder, it seems like there's a lot of fishy things that happen with that scenario. But nonetheless, that's definitely a one-off. Typically SDAT is going to have the correct information out there for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Marvin is going to step away. Thank you so much. You will have his contact information as a follow-up, and he's also going to be following up with you. Thank you so much, Marvin.
Thank you, Brenda. Call me if you all have any issues. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
So all of this information is very good for you to share on your real estate profile. So today's topic is on your real estate profiles. And what I have is 7 things that are displayed. For those of you who like writing, that's okay. However, this will also be put on an email for you to follow along with what I shared. So an email will be coming out to you. When we're talking about your real estate profile, this is what people are going to see, which hint next week is about Google. When they Google you, what are they going to find when they go to all of these different platforms? So you do need to have a bio. Anywhere where they ask you to put about me, you need to have something, and it helps for you to be a little bit consistent. So some of the things that are presented here is, what is your real estate experience? Like, how many years have you been licensed? What have you sold? How many people have you worked with? And then I know I will get feedback from some of us who have only been licensed maybe a week, 6 months, 2 years, and you don't have that. Guess what? You sharing that you went through 60 hours and you went and passed the test is a good starting point. Also bring in what you've done before. So, or rather what you're still doing, maybe for some of you, bring that in, because in real estate, it's all about people. And people choose you because you're Brenda. They don't choose you because of maybe experience or any other things. They come to you because of what they like about you. So share your real estate experience. Definitely number 2 is you're going to connect with them as to, what area you're servicing. Right now, you've heard about ground rent. So you promoting that you work in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, you know about ground rent, how you're going to help them to make sure that ground rent will not be something, for example, that they will be paying. Is here you're sharing your expertise and connecting with the area. How do you solve their problem? What value do you bring in? This is where you can come up with your customer service, how you handle difficult situations, how you're going to make sure that they net whatever it is that they're looking for. Here you're talking about your value for number 3. Number 4 is designations. Some of you have already started taking designations. Some of you, you're working on it. Some of you might have taken the staging certification. Some of you might be joining us on the 18th to go through a credit certification. If you're not taking that course on the 18th, don't panic. Go online and just search for Credit Smart. If you go to online, just search for Credit Smart. Freddie Mac will have a certification to help you on becoming an expert on credit. So sometimes you don't have to use the ones that are being provided, let's say by NAR. You can always go outside any of those trainings that you get. Go ahead and brag about it, because that shows that you're trying to be better. Always talk about your past sales or statistics, if applicable. What awards have you won? Definitely share it all there. And lastly, probably number 1 should have been, what is special about you? Talk about yourself. Building on number 2. So I'm just going to talk about 2 of them. And then what I'm going to do is also show you bio examples and actually text that you can borrow from. And then I might go online, Google one of you and see what you have on there. And I'm also going to assign you an accountability partner to make sure that you complete this particular task. Because what I find is that we attend the session and then we say, I'm going to do it, and doing it never is done. So I'm going to make sure that you get this done at least this week. By the time we meet again on Friday, I want to make sure that you have looked at your bio. Some of you have one. This will be another opportunity for you to look at it. Some of you are going to be building it. So number 2, we talked about share how long have you lived in that area is good. What is good about living in that area? Baltimore County, City, Anne Arundel, share that. Did you go to school there? Definitely talk about that. And for the volunteers that are with us, please go ahead and share that. Remember, people are connecting with you as an individual. So you definitely need to talk about what you do and what you are involved in. Number 5 is the other one that I was going to talk about. This is where you're providing statistics. How many people have you helped? How many sales? Where do you rank in your office? Some of you will say, Brenda, I don't have that yet. Well, let's make up something. And how are you making up something? Testimonials. Testimonials could be coming from a lender, could come from a title person that you've worked with, that you're connected with, could come from your past experience, anything like that. Testimonials are also going to help. So this is where I'm going to go to a couple of profiles while I am switching over. Let me know if you have any questions so far. Okay, I am going to be showing, sorry, that's not what I wanted. So here are a couple profiles that I found online. I did go outside of Maryland, just again to see what is out there. You will learn something from what is presented. Here's an example for this guy, Rene Rodriguez. He's with that company. This is where I am reading. He's in Boston. Keep in mind, I am going to be sharing this particular slides. About 6 or 7 different slides will be coming your way for you to check out. What I'm seeing here is that he's pretty much talking about his statistics. So here he's talking about what he's ranked, how much he has sold, what he's good at. Again, this is where you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just going to borrow from what is already out there and use it for yourself. Let me let someone come in. So here he's talking again about how he's connected in Boston, as we talked about you connecting with the community. Here you can just read and see how you're going to formulate yours. Another one that I saw that was interesting was Kenneth. Kenneth, he's using his broker website. Some of you are going to be using your broker website. As short as these are about what, 9 lines, which is fine. If your broker is providing your website, definitely come up with a bio there. We'll talk about statistics. Definitely, if you're able to connect with your listings or other broker listing, your broker listings, definitely do that. Here he tells you where he's from, so he's connecting with you as to he's a native of Southern California. He has now lived in Las Vegas for 9 years, why he moved there. This is where you're telling a story about yourself. So I'm not going to spend some time with you reading it. As I mentioned, you're going to get the list of these different profiles that exist. Danielle is next. Danielle has shared with me that she's a broker. Some of you are going to be aspiring to be brokers. She's the founder of this particular brokerage. She's a team, they're full-time, what they do, how they service. This is where she's providing that information, and she's sharing that she's born and raised in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and all the way to Dallas. She has been able to move all those different places. Definitely share about yourself. 2 profiles that you might be aware of that you're able to post your stuff, realtor.com. And for whatever feedback you have about Zillow and whatever changes they're going through, guess what? The consumer still is going to be going there. So I'm not paying Zillow to get leads, but I definitely have my profile in there. So you definitely need to set up a profile in there. So this is an example for realtor.com, whether you're paying extra to get leads from them. All of us as realtors have profiles. And this is kind of what it looks like. You're able to accomplish, put it in your picture, your contact information. Remember, we're in Maryland. So Maryland says anywhere that you have your cell phone number, you need to have your broker's telephone number. So make sure you have that. You can definitely post your company website or whatever website you have created. And then here's where we get this particular information. As part of your homework and probably an assignment, a prerequisite, I think I did share with you guys that come up with your profile and then see if you can have a short one as well. Because some websites like realtor.com, notice he does have a long bio, but it's only showing, I'm going to guesstimate, this is about 10 lines. So your first 10 lines need to be exactly what you want to attract, meaning whatever you're putting in there is the clientele that you want to attract. And then they can always go down and click on continue reading to see more. So definitely the first 10 lines. And as you know, when you're going to social media, it's about 300 characters that you have on your bio. That's what people are looking at. And then they're able to see everything. This is realtor.com. The last one I'm going to show you is more of like a broker website. This is someone with Remax. You can see how long you can put it in. And Zillow is kind of going to follow what you have on the realtor.com. So I pause here for questions, feedback, comments.
I have a question. How you
Sure.
doing? I'm a new agent, and so I did a video. I do video for a living.
Okay.
And I did a video, and it was real slick, and people really liked it. I put it on my Facebook page. I put it on my Keller Williams site. I got a lot of good feedback. But one of the things I saw that you put in here that I didn't have was
I'm putting you on the spot. Go ahead. You say
no,
you
it's fine.
Keller
It
Williams?
was yeah, Keller Williams.
Okay.
And I didn't put my my how long I've been selling. I put in there and say yes, I'm brand new, and I haven't been selling. So you probably want to put me up under my company name. So that's you put in Calvin Watkins Chosen Media, CHOSEN.
Say it again.
CHOSEN Media, MEDIA.
Okay.
Yeah, they should come out to that. That's my background and whatnot. So it's just some stuff on me, but
Where's the video? This one?
well, no, I don't think it's on YouTube. I don't think it's on YouTube. I put it on Facebook. I didn't put it on YouTube, but
Well, why not? If it's a video.
you could like, yeah. So that's a good point. I didn't put it on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't think. But anyway, I didn't think about it. I really put out there because a lot of people know I've been doing video for the last 30 years, and people know me as a video producer. So the fact that I'm bringing my video experience to real estate was like my secret sauce. And I did, but anyway, it went over well. My point with all that is to say, not to talk about me, but really just help people. If you do a video, it really goes well. And I just didn't do a lot. This is probably not a good one. I wouldn't even play that one. That's just.
It's okay. Yes.
And I hate being on that side of the camera. Also, getting used to being in front of the camera and not behind the camera. I can send you a link if that helps.
Well, Calvin,
Yes, I think we need to share your contact information on chat because you're definitely going to get a lot of people connecting with you, myself included. But go ahead, Stephanie.
we want to see the good one. We want to see the one
Okay.
that you did for this, for your bio. I mean,
All right.
you know, this is an advertisement for your business as well as a bio
right.
for real estate.
I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it to you real quick.
Okay, put
I'll
it in
send
the
the link.
chat and I'll play it. So Calvin, thanks for directing us on this. Is videos do play a big part in you getting found. So I know we're jumping ahead from what we're covering next week, but you noticed when somebody's doing a Google search, Google is always going to give videos a higher ranking than other stuff. So the more video you have, the better. Now, Calvin, here I am speaking ahead. I hope you'll still join next week, even though I'm going to share. What do you want to be known as? Do you want to be known as a videographer, or do you want to start rebranding yourself as a real estate agent? What do you want? What do you want to be?
That's an excellent question. That's the one I've been really trying to see, because I still have clients I do video for. I still produce video. And but I love real estate, and I remember buying my first home. I remember looking at dream homes. I do that like all the time. So I haven't really. I'm creating that brand now.
Okay, well, could you, now Brenda is not creative by any means, but could you marry the both? So let me give you an example. Like for me, I've branded myself as a real estate educator, right?
Okay.
So real estate educator, I'm hoping it communicates both, right? I'm in real estate, but for some people, because of just what I decided to target was more on what education. I now need to kind of remind people that real estate comes first, right? So I still want you to connect with me for real estate. So could you find a word that marries both real estate stuff and videographer? I'm sure. Find a word that connects the two words, because you're definitely going to stick out. You're going to stick out as the real estate agent, and then from us, because you do videography, we looking for your services. But you can marry the two and then see how that goes. But when I look at you online, I wanted to communicate, and this goes for all of us. It should communicate what is it that you're good at, or, you know, you can't. I know we got our real estate license and we're able to sell everywhere in Maryland, but you still need to hyper localize. You still need to show people that, hey, I am great at Baltimore County. Could I help you in Howard County? Yes, but you need to really start focusing on hyper localization in terms of area and become the expert, the best out there in that area. You will still attract people outside of that area. What we struggle in, remember I'm using the word we, myself included, is we're trying to attract everyone in the world. No, just focus on the ones that you want to do business with. And how you do that is really hyper localize, really focus and specialize on one particular area or thing. So Ebony, for you, if I'm going to pick on you, since you mentioned on investors, you could now really focus and start only talking to investors. Will other people still get attracted to you? Yeah, because of your personality. But when somebody searches you online, it really needs to stand out as to what you specialize in. Okay, thank you. So which one? Oh, sorry, I didn't, let me see it. So we're waiting to play his video. Okay, so you posted it on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll put it somewhere else. I think I need to drop some other stuff in there, but I put it on Facebook. I don't know if you can get the link. I don't know if you have to be friends. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. No, I'm seeing it on this computer, but it did not open on this computer. That is weird.
I could share my screen. Would that help?
Let me try 10 seconds.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
I made it public.
Well, now you're missing some. Put it on YouTube.
Oh, there it is.
And while we're doing this, whatever questions you have, please ask. Are you hearing it?
Yes. Hi, my name is Calvin Watkins, President and CEO of Chosen Media, and now President and CEO of the newly formed company, Your New Home LLC. I started Your New Home LLC because in 2020, with COVID and everything shifting, I started producing a show about real estate. With the power of video and the power of the photography that we produce, helping agents sell the houses that they list, like, why not go all the way? Why not sell the houses? So I made a commitment in November, took a class, December 2020. I got my real estate license January 2021. I created Your New Home LLC, and we are Your New Home of Keller Williams Legacy. It's exciting because I love doing video, I love taking pictures, I love being out, I love setting my own schedule, and I love doing business. Video allows me to do all those things, so I get to bring my passion that I've built up for the last 30 years and open up a whole new set of opportunities to help families build wealth through real estate. So if you're ready to build wealth through home ownership, reach out to us at yournewhomesales.com. My name is Calvin. I look forward to serving you.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
definitely.
Yeah, that was nice.
Great,
You
thank
definitely need to post it on YouTube and
Yes, he does.
Okay.
all your profiles, every single one of them that asks you to post a profile, drop that link on
Really?
there.
Okay.
Yes, drop it on there. Yeah. Sometimes I think this, I'm speaking to myself. We overthink it.
Yeah.
Just drop it everywhere. To you, you might not think it's necessary. To us, I wish I had one of these. You're definitely one that I'm calling, because even when I'm looking at it, I'm getting out of it that you didn't even have a lot of FaceTime. And FaceTime, I mean that incorporated a lot of images. So if there's somebody out there who's feeling, oh, I don't want the camera on me the entire time, you notice that he incorporated different areas, and his FaceTime was probably less than a minute.
Yes.
So yeah, wonderful.
Well, great, thank you. I got a lot of reviews on Facebook. Everybody loved it, and like, hey, good job and everything. It's just I'm not used to being on that side of the camera, so
I know.
I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah. Repurpose it definitely.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have 2 points just to share, if you're able to edit it, tell us which number is what. So when I'm seeing the numbers, I don't see which one is what. I was gonna say, oh, where's your company information? But it's there. So I did see that you presented the company information, so you're fine. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes. Ebony, did you have something to share or ask?
Just saying that it was a good video. I definitely, for you being a new agent, I definitely would, recommend as much video. Video does add a lot to your portfolio. And, I think with everything with COVID, I think we've all learned that the virtual world is just where the next level of business is coming from. So anything to attract people online is always a plus. So, it's great. I definitely want to do more video marketing. I mean, Brenda, I like to do a lot of advertising and, marketing things, but I definitely have shied away from the video aspect of things. So that's one of my goals for this year was to promote more video editing. So
Well, I
I've
would love to help
definitely,
you with that.
yeah. So how much would you charge for like a video or something like that?
Whatever. I just want to help you guys out. It's not free, but for something like that, you come to my office, you sit down for like an hour or like a half hour. You don't have to look at the camera. We can just do like an off-camera interview. But yeah, call me and I'll work out something for you. And that's for everybody.
Okay.
I really want to.
Okay. Yeah, I got your number from the chat, so
Great.
I'll reach out to you. Yeah, and then the more you do, the more promotion it is for yourself as well.
Yeah,
because
exactly. That's
you'll gain promotion from us advertising our videos, and then it's like, hey, who did that video?
Yeah, that's
So
how
I
that's how I
definitely
look
want
at
to
it.
get a. Yeah, but that was a great video.
Great, thank you.
I think it was great. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks this is awesome. Anyone else want to share feedback, comments so far? Okay, so what I am displaying is like text that you can use and borrow from as an experienced real estate agent. And then also we have one for a new real estate buyer. Again, this will be followed up with an email to where this is just a template, a starting point that you're able to use, customize it, make it your own. So here's just a little bit of verbiage that you're able to use. So Shawn has joined us. He's the second person that made this possible as well. But before he comes on, this is where I'm going to challenge myself and challenge you guys as well. I'm just going to randomly select this because I started off saying that we get things done when we feel guilty and somebody's following up with us. So what I'm going to challenge you is that I'm going to just look at the name of participants. Majority of you I know, and you're just going to find a friend, or rather you'll connect with that friend. What I'm doing right now is when I call out your name, you guys are going to share contact information, or if you want me to put everyone's contact information in the follow-up email, I just need your permission to do that. But what I'm doing is between now and Thursday, yes, Thursday the 18th, we shall come up with our bio or enhance it. And these are my steps for it in an email already as a draft for us. I'm going to share my screen in a couple minutes. So what we're going to do in the email is, or rather in the instructions is, you'll just open up a Word document or notepad. I don't care which, as long as it's something that you can type in. Some of you already have your bio, copy paste it. You're going to read it twice and share it with 3 different people. Now, 3 different people from 3 different age brackets. Come up with your own age bracket. Some of us might be, okay, my children who are a little bit closer to 18, that's my future client. It might be the next bracket is, 25, the millennials and so on. And then the other bracket is Gen Y and so on. Come up with that. And then if you can't come up with that person, this is where your accountability partner is going to come in. So by February the 18th, Thursday, 9 p.m., you will have shared your bio with your accountability partner. If you want to share it with me, that's okay. You'll just give me a little bit time to go through it. I might not be able to respond right away. I ask for time to review it. I welcome it. You're going to, whatever feedback we share, please keep an open mind. Here again, remember, in all of this business, I've come to appreciate it's not about me, really. It's about them. So I need to care about what they want to see. So the perception is from their point of view. So take that with an open mind, make changes. And then the last part to your bio is where you're going to shorten it a little bit. Why? When you start posting it on social media and all of those different platforms, remember, people are not reading, they want it short. So you'll still have your long one. And then from your long one, you're going to summarize in about 300 characters. What is your best? Like, you know, when somebody looks at this, they will know. For me, I'm now starting to communicate that I am gluten-free. I am a real estate educator. I love taking long walks on Saturdays just to show people the other side of Brenda, because they only get to see me as a real estate educator. So that's my challenge for myself, and I'm passing it on to you. So that's what we're going to do. And then come Friday, we're going to do the Google search, right? We're just going to put in your name and see what comes in Google and give you feedback. So Friday is really going to be digging deeper. I welcome you to welcome that challenge that I will be just going online, putting in your name, and then whatever comes up, like what we did for Calvin, we'll start giving you some hints as to what you might want to improve upon. That's what growth is to me. So the question is, do you want me to share all your contact information on the email so that you have everyone's name, email address, and cell phone number if I have it? Or yes, so give me permission. I guess that's what I'm looking for. And giving me permission is on the chat box. So who's your accountability partner? So Shawn, give me just one more minute. I'm going to assign people right now. So Amara, your partner is going to be Doreen. Doreen and Amara, you two are connected in terms of accountability partners. Amara and Doreen, you're together. Some people dropped off already. Calvin, you're going to be with Kimberly. Kimberly, I hope you can hear me. I know you're at work. Calvin, you're with Kimberly Alexander. And if you look at the participants list, so Amara is with Doreen. Brenda, write this down so that people, if they're asking me, I know. And again, just to make sure we're on the same page, Amara and Doreen, when you guys connect, you're going to exchange your bios. You're going to give each other feedback, and you're hoping to get this accomplished by Thursday at 9 p.m. So Amara and Doreen. Calvin, I put you with who? Kimberly. Okay. Ebony, you're gonna be with Stephanie. Ebony and Stephanie, that's your accountability partner. Remember, you can always send them to me as well for a third eye. Who's missing? Nikki and Sheila, you're together. Let me see if I missed anyone. I think everyone is okay. Let me know if that makes sense, what questions you might have. Okay, I see most of you are putting in your contact information. If you did put your contact information and somebody needs that contact information, please copy and paste it, because once we close this, it will definitely disappear. Questions, feedback? Okay, I think the person who dropped off was Michael, but I can always chat in with Michael. Thank you, guys. So Shawn, let me get you ready and you can talk about something, unless there are questions or feedback from what we've accomplished so far. Okay, remember, I will put this in the email as well. So if you are not able to get all that information, you're good. Here's Shawn. No? There's Shawn. Okay, so go ahead.
I'm here. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good Friday. Thanks, Brenda, for having me. I'm Shawn Jensen. I'm a senior loan officer at Meridian Bank. I've been on here, I think this is the third time now, talking about the FHLB grant for first-time home buyers. Today, I wanted to switch it up a little bit and talk to you guys about doing fast and thorough pre-qualifications and just touch a little bit on what goes into getting a borrower pre-qualified for a loan. So there's three primary aspects that we take into consideration when we're considering someone for a loan, and those three items are credit, income, and assets. So pretty much the first thing that I ever do is take a look at the borrower's credit, make sure that they meet the minimum credit score requirement for the program that they are applying for. If they don't, there may be a different program that they'd be eligible for, and then we can kind of point them in that direction. But ultimately, that's the first step. Meridian Bank allows borrowers to apply for financing up to a credit score, or I should say down to a credit score of 640. So 640 would be the lowest credit score that we allow at Meridian Bank. So that's point number one. Do you have the credit score needed for the program? After we see what the scores are and know that we can move to move forward, the next thing that I look at would be the public records. There's a public records section of the credit report. This is where I'm going to find out if the borrower ever had any bankruptcies. Bankruptcies or foreclosures or anything like that that's really going to prohibit them from obtaining financing. And then there's another section of the credit report where tax liens and judgments would be listed. So those are big problem features on a credit report. If someone has recent tax liens or judgments on their credit, those things have to be addressed. And just real quick, bankruptcies are allowed for FHA loans if you've had them no more recently than 2 years. So 2 years have to have gone past for bankruptcy. Foreclosures are a little different. You have to have 3 years have to have gone by in order to be eligible for financing if you've had a foreclosure in the past. So that's just a touch on credit. That's the first thing we look at.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to write the notes. So lowest credit score is 640.
That's right.
You're going to be looking at public records for tax liens and judgments, right?
Correct. Yep,
And then
that's right.
for bankruptcy, you say 2 years for after discharge for FHA, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. So then the next component we look at is going to be income. I analyze income. I usually just ask the borrower to tell me how much their annual gross salary is, gross being the amount of money they make before taxes. That's the number that we use. We use gross earnings to qualify borrowers. We don't, if we had to use net earnings, there'd be a lot of people that didn't qualify for mortgages. So we go by gross monthly earnings. So I just ask them what that is. Some people are a little confused about how much money they make. So I always like to get pay stubs and W-2s to verify everything. And then we look at the income and the credit report to see what debts are on their credit report. And that's kind of how we do the calculation to know what a borrower is going to be eligible to borrow. So we'll take, let's say they have $4,000 a month and they have in income, $4,000 a month in income. And then we'll look at their debts. They might have a car payment for $400 and a credit card payment for $100. So they're paying $500 a month in debt. We're allowed to use about half of their gross monthly earnings to qualify them. So if they're making $4,000 a month, we could use $2,000 of that, and then we have to back out their $500 in debt. So we'd be left with $1,500 that they can use for a house payment, which is going to equate to about a $240,000 house, somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay. It's important to get the income docs, not just to verify the earnings, but if a borrower is paying child support or having a garnishment taken out of their paycheck automatically, it's important to get the pay stubs to see what's coming out of their deductions, because if they're paying child support or having deductions taken out for alimony or some other debt that they're liable for, then we also have to count that in their debts and back that out of their qualification. So that's the basics on income. So we talked about credit and income, and then the last
question. So self-employed.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a little bit? I guess in the income part.
Not in 6 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what do you, I guess you need taxes 2 years?
Yeah, just real quick. Self-employed borrowers have to have to have their income evaluated over the most recent 2 years. They have to be able to provide 2 years of tax returns for operating their business or receiving the income that they receive, like 1099s, for example. 1099 people are considered self-employed. So we have to have 2 years on record of that. We take the earnings that is actually reported on the 2 years of tax returns. So, self-employed people can make a lot of money and then report very little in earnings. And we're gonna use what they actually report in earnings after they make all of their deductions. So if you're a real estate agent and you made $85,000 this year and you spent $65,000 driving around and advertising, then we're only left with $20,000 that we can use as effective income to get a self-employed person.
Wow.
For a loan.
Thanks.
So that a lot of people get hung up. A lot of self-employed people get hung up there. So that's important. This time of year, it's good right before people are about to file their tax returns. If they've filed a tax return in for 2019, that was not enough income. Now's a good time that they can report more earnings and increase their qualification amount. So
And you average it 2 years?
we average it over 2 years. That's correct.
Okay.
And what I've done actually with Shawn is I've attracted a lot of truck drivers for some reason. So what happens is I have, like this time, what he has shared is I shared, okay, we have some time to review, Shawn has the opportunity to review what they did last year and to prepare them that when they are filing this year, what are the stuff that they might need to look at. So Shawn also helps with that as well. Yeah.
And the biggest objection I always get to that is, but then I have to pay tax on all of that money.
Right, that's what I was told.
And it's like, yes, you do.
Yeah, they said you gotta pay taxes for a couple years just to get the qualification for the type of house you want to buy.
That's
and
right.
then you go back to right there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta pay to play. I was
Yes.
You got it.
Yes.
All right, the third and almost last component of getting a borrower pre-qualified are assets. I mean, that's real simple. We look at how much money they have in banks and in retirement accounts and 401ks and stocks and bonds and all their different assets. The two main important points is one, you have to have enough money to be able to close the transaction. So if your down payment's $10,000 and your closing costs are $8,000, you need $18,000 to get it done. And if you don't have that, then we have to find other ways to, obtain the assets that you need, either through first-time homebuyer programs, gifts from family, or maybe other sources. But ultimately, you have to be able to show you have the assets needed to close the transaction. And the other reason assets are important is for cash reserves after closing. So
Right.
Borrowers with marginal credit oftentimes will be denied a loan in our electronic underwriting system if they do not have any cash reserves. And then if you give them 2 or 3 months of cash reserves, 2 or 3 months of their mortgage payment, that is, then oftentimes that decision of decline will flip to approve just because they have some money in the bank left over. If they get jammed up and can't make a payment, there's savings there to cover their mortgage payment. So that often helps get borrowers over the hump, so to speak. And then just real quick in closing, some borrowers are immigrants. So they either have an ITIN, a social security number, a work permit, a permanent resident alien card, or they're citizens. So we can do loans for anyone that is here in the country legally that has a valid social security number. We cannot do loans for people with ITINs, which are temporary identification numbers. And if I learn that or suspect that the borrower, may be an immigrant based on a Hispanic accent or something, it's not, I don't know that that's profiling, but you should ask the question, are you a US citizen? Are you a permanent resident alien? These are questions on the loan application as well. And if you find out that they are neither a citizen or a permanent resident, then you need to make sure they have a valid work permit and have been here working legally. So a valid work permit is really the only required document to be eligible for financing. And that's all the information that I was going to cover today. I'd be happy to take any questions or answer anything, talk about any other points that you're curious about.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
So I'm told by, from what I understand, and it helps me articulate, get the message across to my potential clients as well. Credit Karma and all these other apps like that are not the right ones to evaluate your credit when you come to buying a house. So buying a house, you should get the credit pulled by a mortgage bank, mortgage brokers yourself.
That is true. So what I advise people is that Credit Karma is actually really good. They're a wonderful site for monitoring your credit and the fluctuations in your credit score. Okay. The problem with Credit Karma is they don't produce the same credit scores that we get on our end because they don't take into consideration certain types of accounts, and their algorithm is different than what we use. Yeah. So we use the Fair Isaac method, okay. And Credit Karma uses, I think, a proprietary method that they created on their own. So oftentimes somebody will tell me that their credit score is 660 or even 680, and when I pull it, it's 639 or 620, and then they don't qualify. And then I have this exact conversation with them, explaining, that it's a good reference point to, monitor if your credit's improving, if you've paid down accounts, if you've paid off collections. You can see if your score was 660 and now it's 680 or 710, it's obvious that your score is improving and you may have a better chance of qualifying for the mortgage. But yes, you're correct. It's always our what we pull is different from what Credit Karma produces.
They should come to you first, in the home buying process and say, okay, let's get you qualified. Come to you to pull the credit score. And then you can say, okay, this is where you are.
That's true. You get something. I'm sorry.
Is there a fee for pulling a credit score or no back?
There's not. No. Okay. No. If they want to apply for a mortgage, then that's the cost of pulling the credit is absorbed by the bank.
Okay. Okay.
We do pass the fee along on our, closing disclosure to the borrower that gets collected at settlement, but we do not collect an upfront fee to pull the credit report.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So Calvin and others, I'm going to strongly recommend for you to get better at, credit conversation, check out what Freddie Mac has. So that course that I mentioned before, just Google Credit Smart. Yes. And it's by Freddie Mac. They have good resources there that you're able to use.
Yes.
On another meeting, I'd be happy to talk about things people can do to improve their credit if they have to work on it. I've been working with people on credit for a long time, so I'm, we have a tool on the backside that, will say, do this, do that, and your score will be this. I can kind of do that at first glance, not quite as accurately, but I can certainly provide advice to people on how to quickly get a credit score up. I'd be happy to have a segment on that at a later time.
Okay, sure. This is what is coming up next week. We're improving day by day, so 5 minutes over. I will see you next week. Enjoy your weekend.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So, Brenda, you'll send out the contacts, right?
Yeah, in an email. I usually have a follow-up email, and then also the link to next week for you to book your spot.
Okay, and details of what we have to do. All right, cool. And all this our homework is due next week.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.